Hello, welcome to my channel Vegangelical. Please take a moment to like, comment, share and subscribe, and have a look at the links that are available in the description of the video. So today is World Milk Day. Now let's have a look what dairy farmers are celebrating. Do you think it's success? Do you think it's because they're 1 in 4 dairies in the UK are unable to make any money, so they're closing down at a very fast rate? Is it because they have a disproportionately high suicide rate? Is it because of the massive shift from dairy products to plant-based products? I think it's probably not any of those things. So what else might they be celebrating? I think it's important on a day like today that we talk about what the dairy industry represents. So in order to put milk in supermarkets and on your doorsteps requires several things. It requires the separation of a mother from a baby calf. Usually in the UK, within 1 to 2 days of the calf being born, it's removed from the mother. So what else does it mean? It means if that calf happens to be a male, then it will be killed. So the dairy industry is built on infanticide of all males. So unless they're sent off to be bred for veal, which is an incredibly cruel, very short lifespan anyway, that bobby calf will be shot and have its throat cut. So what else does the dairy industry stand for? The dairy industry is built on the abuse of the female reproductive system. So at around 18 months old, female cows are impregnated and they go through a cycle of around 4 to 5 pregnancies and are normally considered spent, as they're unable to reproduce at the same rate and their bodies are giving up after that cycle, that 4-5 pregnancy cycle. So they're often killed at around 5 to 6 years old when they ought to be living to be around 18 years old. So in order to produce milk, obviously the cow needs to be pregnant, just like any other mammal. Lactation requires pregnancy. So what other things does the dairy industry require? It also requires more abuse of the female. So in order to produce more milk, they have been cows have been bred specifically so that they select the genetically more favourable cows in order to have massive udders that produce more milk. So they're producing way more milk than they ordinarily would have done, and as a consequence of this, the cows are carrying around a massive amount of weight, which is an increased stress on their already very abused and very weakened bodies. So you'll often see cows' bodies giving up. They have mastitis, they have problems with walking, they are spending so long being milked that they're on their feet for unnaturally long periods of time, and they suffer as a consequence of that. So I'm guessing that it's not the success of the dairy industry that they're celebrating. It's probably not the information about what's required to bring dairy to people that they're celebrating. What else could they be celebrating? Is it the myths? So there are a couple of myths that seem to go around about dairy, including stuff that's shared with children. It's quite dangerous to tell children lies. So I've seen information given out that says that cows eat grass and the grass is turned into milk, which is absolute nonsense, and you're feeding children lies by telling them this. Cows only produce milk because they're pregnant, the same as any other mammal. So if you believe that grass turns into milk, then I urge you to please take a biology lesson. Milk requires pregnancy. There's also the other myth that cows' udders are going to explode if they're not milked. Now, in reality, these cows have not got natural sized udders. They're far larger, and obviously so that they can produce more milk than they naturally would. Now, if they hadn't had their calf taken away from them, they wouldn't need milking at all. The calf would be taking that milk and growing to a very large animal in a very quick space of time. So that's a couple of the myths that the dairy industry might also not be celebrating. They probably are celebrating when it's shared, that when these myths are shared, but when they're exposed, I very much doubt they are celebrating them. So what else can we say on World Milk Day about the dairy industry? So milk contains a thing called casein. Now this contains within it casomorphine. So there are a few reasons why people should avoid casein. Number one is it's highly addictive due to the casomorphine. So when people say they can't give up cheese or they can't give up milk, there's a reason they're saying that, because they are literally addicted to it. Casomorphine is comparable to heroin and other opioids. So it's no surprise when people struggle to just switch dairy-based products like cheese for non-dairy versions of these same products, which is why in my work I would always advocate for people to take a break from dairy of at least 3 to 4 weeks before they swap them out for non-dairy alternatives. So another thing about casein, it's incredibly slow to break down in the body. So what does that mean? It means it will cause all kinds of digestive problems. So this can lead to gas, nausea, bloating and stomach pain, for example. So because it's so incredibly slow to break down, it takes a long time to go through the gut. The gut is not designed to take these products in a similar way to meat. So meat is supposed to go through a carnivore's digestive tract, which is very much shorter than our own. So our digestive tract is not built to take that amount of slow digesting product, which is why we end up with really bad guts and bowel cancers and things like that, because we're eating the wrong foods. So number 3, casein also affects the respiratory system. So it's used, for example, as a very strong glue by woodworkers to bind glues together, which ought to tell us a little bit about it. So it forms mucus and clogging and inside of us. So this can result in wheezing, coughing, congestion, runny nose, and even itchy eyes. So that's the third reason we should be avoiding casein. And finally, on casein, it often has the same reaction as gluten intolerance. So 50% of people studied who suffer from gluten intolerance also have a casein intolerance. So if you, for example, struggle to get rid of symptoms that you had by going gluten-free and you've still got the symptoms, it might be a good idea to try going dairy-free and see what difference that makes. So if anyone's got any questions, I'm quite happy to answer them. You can go to my website as well, which is linked in my bio, and contact me through that. I'm happy to talk about any of these issues in far more depth. So let's celebrate World Milk Day by making milk history.